Hey everybody, this is ZenBlender. I am the creator of Triplejack.com, which is a social non-gambling poker site that has been going for almost 10 years. And I just wanted to make a video where I'm playing through a little tournament here and just showing my strategy and thought process. And hopefully I'll do pretty well in this game. My username is ZenBlender, but on this game I'm playing as FenderBender, which kind of kind of rhymes with ZenBlender, but people won't know me, so they won't be disturbing me while I make a video. So, anyways, this is a qualifying tournament that goes to a final tournament to win a $25 gift card, and those tournaments run weekly, and these qualifiers run every day. So this is a good one to play. It's a 5-seat tournament, which means that each table only has 5 seats and 5 players. And I like that kind of setup because it's easier to kind of figure out patterns that people use while betting if there are only a handful of players at the table. So I like that. I think it lends itself to kind of a more skillful kind of a game. The blind rounds aren't too long, so you still kind of have to get lucky at a couple of points during these games. But anyway, it looks like we have about 21 people joined already, and the game is about to start. So let's see how this goes. It should be five tables to start. All right, here we go. And it's the first time I've played with this account, so it comes up with the tutorial. So start by changing my my avatar real quick. All right, King 7. So I am probably going to put in a small raise here and just see how the players are going to play. And sometimes players play very passively, and just see how it goes. All right, so we haven't hit anything on this flop, and we're facing a bet. It's just good to fold there. There's no reason to continue. All right, so when I don't know much about the players, I first will look at this feature that shows you play style indicators. This is a power player feature, and basically there are these two little bars. There's a red bar and a blue bar, and the red bar is an indicator of how aggressive the player is pre-flop, and the blue bar is basically how many hands they like to play. And in this hand, I flopped 2 pair and then sort of got counterfeited on the turn. I flopped 2 pair, but then the turn gave me kind of a worse 2 pair because any jack beats me and any queen might have a better kicker. And actually my kicker didn't even play. So that was a good spot to kind of cut my losses and fold. All right, so let's see what happens. I'm trying to feel out these players a little bit, and my gut reaction here is that the Black Knight tends to bet when he has something. You'll see that his play style indicator shows that he's a little bit aggressive, but doesn't play a lot of hands. So the blue means that he's kind of tight with the number of hands that he plays. All right, so that was interesting. We just saw Indy Viking put out a huge all-in bet. And a lot of times when players do that, it either means that they're bluffing, but they don't want to play for any less. In other words, they want to put maximum pressure on everybody, or they have a decent hand or a strong hand, and they're hoping to make an easy big score there. But obviously it didn't work out. Okay, so I have suited connectors. These are good. These are good hands to, oh wow, to flop a straight apparently. So when this happens, I'm basically going to check in this situation. I actually don't have an amazing hand because Jack 10 could beat me, 10-6 could beat me. I did put in a raise pre-flop, but now I'm facing this big bet. The only thing I can do really is go all in. Might be up against two hearts, probably not up against, see now three hearts on board against two opponents. I'm probably in big trouble. So let's see what happens here. Please fold. Oh wow, look at this. I'm actually good. Look at that. So that was an interesting hand there, because it was hard for me to figure out what Black Knight was doing, but it's kind of becoming clearer that he's the kind of player that tends to bet when he has something and isn't afraid to make a big overbet. So until I see him making a play like that with a big bluff, then I'm going to assume that that's how he plays. In this hand, I have Jack high. I have nothing. There's only 20 in the pot, so there's not really much of a reason for me to try to bluff and to buy this pot because the reward is just so small. So sometimes it's good to just fold and wait for a better spot, especially against a player who tends to play their hands for value. Okay, so let's take a look at the standings here. And we started with 21, and we've already dropped 5 players. So we're now down to 3 tables. It just went from 4 tables to 3 tables. We have a new player that came in, who Choo-Choo23, who has maximum aggression and pretty low hand selection. So in the terminology of the game, that's pushy aggression and picky hand selection. Now that means that this player plays few hands, but plays them pretty strong. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, so I have Ace King here. This is a really good starting hand, but generally it's only good if you can actually hit an ace or a king, and so I won the pot there just by betting it up, and I think that's a good strategy most of the time with a hand like Ace King. All right, so in this situation, Choo-Choo hasn't voluntarily done anything yet, and I have a king, so I have kind of a better than average hand. Since the hand selection here is low, I decided to raise it up, but got re-raised all in. I really can't call this, so I just have to fold here, kind of make a mental note of that, and maybe be a little more careful raising into that player. So King 7 suited. The fact that the hand is suited really doesn't help you out that much. Over the long term, it's probably 5% chance that you're going to hit a flush. So 5% is really not worth playing for. So really, you're just playing for the king 7. Anyway, I decided to fold that one. Queen 3. I'm going to try a raise here, just to see if I can get more passive players to fold. And I did, so I won a small pot there. And the more small pots that you can win can help to give yourself a kind of an image of playing a lot of hands. But the key is to kind of play a lot of hands, but with low risk to yourself. In other words, making it easy for you to fold in situations where you think your hand is not good. And then when you have a strong hand, people are more likely to call your bets, because if you play a lot of hands, then it just seems unlikely that you always have a good hand. So the key is to kind of be sneaky and play a lot of hands cheaply, and then when you hit a big hand, try to get the most chips out of it. All right, so I'm doing pretty good so far. I've had some luck, especially with that flopped straight, and it shows that I'm in second place overall here. So out of all the players on all 3 tables, I'm in second place. And once again, we have these big bets from Choo Choo. And a lot of people get frustrated with this kind of play, but I tell you what, it makes it easy to play against those players. And I don't mean that in the sense that I expect to win. It's actually pretty risky to play against those players. But what I mean is that the decisions are easy, because you're either playing for all of your chips or you're just folding. And so there's a lot of play in between checking and making small bets and making huge all-in bets. There's a lot of spectrum in there. There's a lot of possibility for skill and outplaying somebody. And that's where the difficult decisions are. And so I try to put opponents to tough decisions when I'm in a good spot, and try to also avoid tough positions. So we have a small pot, and it's not really been contested. I kind of feel like my hand is good here. It's kind of hard for Choo Choo to have a better hand than me, so that's why I bet it for value there on the end. With all the checking, it just seemed like my hand was good. So in position here on the button, I'm going to raise with 4s. If I weren't in position, I might just limp with that, but it worked out on that hand, because pocket 4s, most flops you're not going to like. Most flops are going to come like, ace, queen, 9 or something like that. It's just it's good to win pots pre-flop with hands like that. All right, so now the Black Knight's pushing and wins the pot. All right, so I'm moved. The game will move players around as people bust out, just to keep the tables balanced, and that continues until you get down to the last table. So I've kind of stepped into a table with more difficult players, because this is where all the chips are. We've got 1,800 over here. We've got over 1,100 over here. So I'm not the big stack on this table, but that's all right. I just need to figure out how the players are playing and try to adapt. All right, so we got King 5. We've got somebody, Chula, who's limped in, and then we've got another limp, which is just a call. It's just a term for a call. So I decided to just see a free flop, and I've hit top pair. I think if I check, actually I'm going to bet this. I'm going to bet, and I usually will bet between a half and a full pot size. And that's just kind of a good rule of thumb. If you bet more than the pot, then in general you're kind of risking too much. And if you make a small bet, then you're not really putting anybody to any tough decisions. You're not discouraging anybody from calling. So generally between a half and full pot is a good bet size. So I'm always looking up here and using that as a gauge for what might be a good bet. And I really have a terrible hand here. I don't think anybody really has much, but there's no reason for me to stick my neck out. So I basically just checked and lost that hand. So this one I'm on the button. I'm going to try a min raise here. I mean, I have kind of a decent hand. I get called by one player, and it's checked to me. So I'm going to take advantage of my position. I'm going to do kind of a small bet here because that might be all that's needed to win the pot. Of course, I didn't win the pot, but now I'm open-ended for the straight, and I'm going to take a free card. And I hit it. So that's pretty awesome. I hit it, and if I bet, I'm not quite sure what I'm up against. Maybe she's got a 9 or something. So I'll put in kind of a small bet, just under half pot, because I want to get called, and I did. So I actually just got called by ace high, which is a little surprising. But if I had bet more than that, I might not have gotten called. All right, so ace jack of hearts. That's good enough for a raise with only 3 other players at the table. So I'll triple it. I'll get called. Lily immediately checks to me. This flop can't have helped Lily probably. So I'm going to put out a bet. And actually my bets are a little bit on the small side. I did say that I bet between half and full pot size. But if you can get away with a smaller bet, if you don't have a great hand and you can bet, a third of the pot and win the pot, then that's pretty ideal because you're risking the minimum to win the hand. So anytime you can do that when you don't necessarily want callers, it's a good thing. All right, so looking down here, I am in first place. So that's pretty sweet. A lot of these hands I've just won by betting when I think the other players are weak. So the blinds have just gone up. I've got a good hand for there only being one player left in the hand. And I get re-raised all in. Now the thing is I don't even have ace high. I don't have a pair. I don't have anything. I'm just going to fold this hand. I haven't really seen Chula do this, at least not in this tournament. So chances are good that she had a big hand there, or at least something that my king jack would not like to go up against. So in other words, I was going into that hand behind, and it was just a good time to fold. All right, so I've got queen 3 offsuit. I'm just going to fold this one. There's not really any reason to get involved. All right, so we've got Fox putting out a big bet and then pushing all in on the river and losing to a flush. So that's kind of interesting. It's good to get a feel for what hands people will play for a raise. In other words, how much of a raise would you have to put in to get Chula to fold 10-3 of clubs? And this is a spot where I'm going to just push all in and hope that I only get one caller. And actually I get 2 callers, but I have the best of it. And that looks like a win for me. So I took out 2 players there with that hand. So if I had less than ace queen, I might fold. But one of the main reasons that I played and one of the main reasons that I raised is that I had both players covered by quite a lot of chips. So even if I made a bad call and was up against ace king or something like that, or maybe pocket tens and ended up losing something like that, then I'm still okay. I still have a lot of chips. So this would be different if I were up against Chula with her current chips, because I could get eliminated. Whereas against players with not a lot of chips, I'm still in even if I lose. So that's a key way you can gauge what to do. All right, so let's see. I am second place in chips. All right, I've got a suited ace. I'm on the button. I'm going to raise it. And I get re-raised, but it's a minimum raise. So this is a spot where I'm going to call almost every time. If I had a good enough hand to raise in the first place, then I'm certainly going to call a min bet. Now I have a nut flush draw, the best draw for a flush, and I think this is a tough spot. I maybe shouldn't have bet this because the re-raise pre-flop told me I was up against a pretty good hand. I'm actually going to fold this, and yeah, it turns out, look at that, I was up against pocket queens, and if I look at the history, I'll see that the re-raise came when that third queen hit on the turn. You can see it right there. So yeah, I could have just checked in that situation, but I wouldn't have learned much about where I was in that hand. And when I bet and then got raised, it's just a good spot to fold. I think back to pre-flop when I got re-raised, and usually that's when you've got a stronger hand. Usually people don't re-raise with nothing unless you kind of have seen that as a pattern of theirs. All right, so I have top pair here, decent kicker, and I'm going to take it down. All right, so let's see how we're doing now. All right, so I've dropped down to third place now in the overall chips, but that's okay. I still have 20 big blinds, and see, this is a really tough spot here. King Queen is a hand that I would raise with, but I'm not going to call with it, and I'm up against the big stack. So I might have won that. I would have hit top pair, but I just far prefer to be in the aggressive position. I prefer to be raising than to be calling. If you're raising, you're more likely to win, because you might win because you have the best hand or because everybody folds. So I like to be the aggressor. And if I'm not the aggressor, then I like to kind of weigh my odds and fold if it's not a great situation. All right, so still sitting right in the middle of the chip stacks, and someone limps in. I'm just gonna check my option here, see what King does. So he puts out a minimum bet. I don't really have much. I don't know that he has much, but I can always wait for a better spot. The blinds are really not pressuring me quite yet, so there's just no reason to get crazy. 2-8, I'm just going to fold, give this one up. No reason to fight for every pot. Just no need for it. But give me an ace on the button with two players, and I'll definitely raise. All right, so King checks to me. I'm going to just continue bet here, about half pot, and see if I get called or raised. Okay, so I get called. That's not great for me. I'm not gonna lie. I do hit an ace on the river, and I was able to get there cheaply, so that's good. I might have the best hand, and it turns out that I think that he made a little bit of an error by letting me get there so cheaply. So if I were in his spot, I definitely would have been playing top pair stronger than that. Now I have sixes on an 8-8-2 board. chances are very low that that board has helped F-roll. So I'm gonna try to take it down, and I did. All right, so we are now on the final table. So I just need to kind of play carefully here. I'm gonna put out a min bet here. Felt like he didn't have anything. All right, I got 410 on the small blind. I'm not gonna get crazy here. I don't want to butt heads with the big stack out of position with a bad hand. I'm just gonna fold it. But once again, I have an ace on the button, so that's a good spot to raise. I did get called though, or F-roll did call. This time I'm just gonna limp in as well, because if I raise, I don't know what F-roll is gonna do. So I've hit the middle pair here. I have an ace kicker. Hopefully it gets checked to me. Now I got 3 players in the hand, so if I bet, I can't be sure that everybody's gonna fold. I'm just gonna check it, get a free card. I could hit it straight with a 3. Ace would be nice, a 5 would be nice. I'm getting another free card opportunity. I'm just gonna take it. Now if it checks around, my hand's probably good. We got a bet here. So he might have hit the 8. I'm guessing he hit the 8 on the river. I have a pretty bad hand against 4 players, or 4 total players. So good time to fold. All right, 6-5 of clubs. These are good sort of implied value hands. You're not really expecting to make much if you win with a pair of 5s or a pair of 6s. You're hoping to make a flush or a straight. But the price here is kind of expensive for me to just see a flop with 6 high, so I'm gonna fold, which kind of sucks. And on that flop, I wouldn't have liked it much better. I could hit a straight, but chances are pretty slim, and there's just no reason to get involved. Yeah, I would have been destroyed there. So we've lost 1 player. We are down to 4. All right, so I've got queen 9. I could go either way with this hand. I really could. I'm just gonna fold this. I'm just gonna play it safe. The most important thing in a tournament is to survive, and I don't have to play every hand to do that. All right, so I've got ace-5 of hearts. If I raise this, it's gonna look strong, and I'm gonna be in position. I hit my 5. There's a tiny bet there. I hit a piece of this flop, so I'm just gonna call, take a cheap card, and it's an awesome card. Now he might have a king. I'm not quite sure if he's slow playing or if he's just trying to get me to fold cheaply, but it's a good time to raise. And this is where I gamble. I might be up against ace king, and if so, then so be it. But I got to take a strong line here. King 4. Okay, wow. I wasn't expecting that. All right, and I got the full house, so no complaints there. We're down 1 player, and I am chip leader now. So I'm all right with that. So now I'm going to use my big stack and my ace against 1 player who hasn't made any decisions yet in this hand and take it down. And turns out I would have hit 2 pair there. All right, 6-2 of hearts. I'm big stack, but there's no reason to get involved. I'm just going to fold. And looking at the other chip stacks here, we have King Diamond with only 600, and Chula's got 4,400. So I'm just going to figure out who I want to get involved with and pick my spots, take my position into account, and the chip stacks into account, and all that other fun stuff. All right, so I've got 9-2, not a good hand, but I actually get a walk there, so everybody folded to me, and I'm okay with that. All right, pocket aces, I get a huge hand, so I got to figure out how to play this. I'm always raising this hand. There may be a few times where I will just call with aces pre-flop, but it's only when I have some real specific kind of feel for how a player might play. If they're playing really aggressively, then I might be able to trap them with just a call with aces. But I'm certainly happy just taking down that hand without a call. All right, so King Diamond's made a few more chips here. I've got 4 high, so I'm going to fold to pretty much anything, but gives me another walk. So that's quite all right with me. All right. Now, I don't have a great hand, but I feel like Chula is not that aggressive of a player. So if I just call, I might be able to see a free flop. And I do. Now I have a kind of a bad straight draw. If I hit a jack, I'll have a straight. I did hit a queen, but any jack beats me now. And 2 clubs beat me. Any king beats me, any ace beats me. I'm just going to check it down. There's a small bet. I can call a small bet. I don't really know where I'm at, and lost to a flush. And that's okay because I risked just a small amount of chips to see where I was at. All right, again, I'm hitting an ace on the button, which is pretty nice. So I'm going to always bet that when there's just a few people at the table. I'm going to put out a small bet. I kind of feel like the minimum effective dose is the good dose as far as making a bet that you don't want to be called. So right now I have queen high. I'm going to just make a little stab at it because I think that Chula probably didn't have any piece of that. If there was an ace in her hand, it would probably be a raise at some point pre-flop or, you know. All right, I have another ace now, but I'm in the small blind, so I'm in a bad position. So I'm going to call, and I do hit top pair, but I don't like my kicker. I'm going to try to play this hand a little bit cheaply. So hopefully I can dodge a club or that wasn't a great card for me there. But the price is so cheap that let's just see what happens. It gets worse and worse for me. I almost should fold right here. I should probably just, okay, I'm going to fold. I don't know where I was at exactly, but okay, so it turns out 2 pair. All right, so if I look back at the history, Jack 10, yeah. So my ace was not good there. But if I were in King's shoes, I would definitely have been playing that stronger. All right, so I am still chip leader. I have a bad hand here, but I might be able to take it down with a minimum raise. And I am. So anytime that I can do that, I'll kind of try to push that a little bit and just see what I can get away with. And you don't want to do it too much because if they catch on to you and play back at you, then it might nullify all of your profits up until then. Okay, so we have 5s versus ace queen. This is what you call a coin flip. It's like a 50-50 chance before any board cards are dealt. And Chula wins that, and now I'm heads up. So I'm heads up. I have a slight chip lead. I'm on the button. I'm going to try the min raise, and that worked again. So anytime I can steal the blinds like that, I'm gonna try to do that. All right, queen 10, and this is nice. This is nice. I don't even have to make any decisions. Jack 2 suited again. Let's try it again. Let's just see what happens. All right, seeing a flop. That flop probably did not help Chula, so I'm going to put out smallish bet, try to take it down there. And I did, so that's great. All right, 10-6. This is awesome. I get folded to, so probably didn't have a good hand either. So I'm going to try a min raise again. All right, I hit middle pair, decent kicker, and pretty sure I have the best hand now, so I'll put out a bet, and I win. All right, so now Queen 9. And I can see a free flop. And I think I'll do that. There's just not any reason to play differently. Now if I bet this, it's gonna look a little fishy. But if I bet now, then oh, look at this. So I get raised. No reason to keep playing. I basically was trying to steal a little pot there, and could have been up against the slow played 8, or who knows? I'm not sure. Just to mix it up a little bit, I'm actually going to fold that hand. It's just not a good hand. And if I get played back at, if I get called, if I get raised, then it's just kind of a loss. All right, ace 10, heads up. I'm raising. It's okay if I'm first position. I'm gonna do that very frequently. Now I missed this flop, but I think a bet might take it down. When the board is paired like that, it's a little bit harder for it to have helped your opponent. So fortunately, I'm getting a lot of credit for these bets on the flop, and I've hit a big flop here. But I'm gonna actually slow play this one because I'm probably up against a pretty weak hand. But look at this. Here's a big bet that's come out. I could be up against a straight. I could be up against ace king, something like that. But I'm gonna gamble here because I'm gonna get called because Trula just didn't have that many more chips left. And look at that. So I won 21 player tournament. And let's see here. Yeah. So I got the iTunes ticket, so I can use this ticket in the finals. And if I win that, then I get a $25 gift card. So if you didn't know that, and if you want to win a $25 gift card, then play one of these qualifiers and see if you can win. All right, so fortunately, I had a good run in this game. And so I just wanted to share a little of my thought process as I play these games. And really, the main lesson is risk versus reward. And you want to risk a small amount of chips if you can to win a large reward. So I avoid making big bets unless I really think I have the best hand and I will get called. And in a lot of other situations, I like to play it safe and play against players that seem like they don't have a strong hand and can't call bets. So that's kind of the lesson here that I wanted to focus on. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and I will try to make some more of these. Feel free to leave some comments or ask me some questions. So check out triplejack.com and see you at the tables.